Welcome on Just Candid, Vivek. Thank you for coming over.
Thank you, Sumeer. Good to see you.
It is an honor. Vivek, how come you be an all-rounder?
See, there are many aspects to life, and I was a cricketer first, so I learned the word all-rounder from cricket. But then life started giving me more opportunities as a whole. So I got into writing, got into speaking, got into motivating, and I was an officer where in the civil services you are an all-rounder anyway, because you handle various things of different kinds. So by nature I became an all-rounder, and when I was a cricketer also I used to bat, bowl and field. So I guess I'm a life all-rounder now.
Tell us something which people don't know, your friends don't know about your childhood.
Well, one of the things was that my sisters are twins, and my father used to be posted in Haryana. So I studied in many schools, which people may not know. So I studied in St. John's and Central School in Chandigarh to close my schooling. But before that I studied in London for 3 years as a 7-year-old to a 10-year-old. And before that I was in Jaipur and Delhi. And I was also in modern school Delhi from the 6th to the 8th. So the Vasant Vihar one. So I changed many schools, and that is something which added to my personality and the adaptability, and maybe added to the all-round skills as well.
Did you enjoy your tenure as an officer?
Oh yes. Actually 25 years in the government is not a small term. So when I started out, as I said, I was a young SDM in Kalka. Those 3 years were really important for me in my formative years, and I became popular. I was active, energetic. I was 25 when I started, and I used to go to the interiors, the villages where nobody had gone before. I guess my public speaking skills came later, but my public dealing skills were pretty good.
Yeah.
So when people used to come, I was told by someone very senior that, always listen to the common man, the poor man. So I started interacting more with them, and they started probably liking the way I worked. And in 3 years, I earned a name in Kalka. I used to come in the papers a lot. In fact, my bosses used to tell me you're too much in the papers, so even at that time. Yeah. And then, but it worked out well. So I gradually developed that positive attitude, which actually led to my popularity and later successes in my career. And I think I managed to leave a mark of someone who did his best, was positive, had some goodwill, and also some concrete achievements. So yes, as an officer, I enjoyed my innings, and I think it was fulfilling.
Your father was a very famous, very inspiring, very upright police officer. You never thought of going into the police?
I did actually. And when I used to see him with his salutes he was getting and his uniform at times, many years he was in the Intelligence Bureau and the CEED, so he didn't wear a uniform. But whenever I used to see him in uniform, I used to be inspired.
So still sticking around in your childhood, what do you think has been the role of your mother in shaping your career and you as a person?
Oh yeah, she was, my parents, they were, everyone probably reveres their parents, but they were just so pure and so good and so cultured. So I think that culture, that tradition, that came from them, the values came from them. Never flinch, never be dishonest, the truth. So my mother really played a role in that as well. And both of them were a team actually, the parents I had, and they unfortunately 5 years after he passed away, she also passed away. But by that time I was married and my sisters were also married. So she did a great job in raising us along with him. I think our childhoods were full of piety and happiness and those festivals, and she was a great cook and she would sing very well. So we learned a lot of things from her.
India, in your tenure while you were an officer, an IAS officer, 25 years you served the government. India in your time and India next 25 years, where do you see the country? What is going to be the difference?
That's a great question, because I think about this a lot. And I've written 2 books. My 3rd one is on life skills. My 4th one may be on India. That's why I'm excited at this question. Yeah. So India is not a country actually. It's an experience. And it's a continent. It is actually the whole world in a microcosm. So if you look at India 25 years ago, it was struggling in the sense that not so much as a system. Perhaps the system has even declined now. It was a little better in some ways at that time. But the average Indian was not a confident individual. So what I could see from the cricket field, for example, Bedi Prasanna, Chandrasekhar, they used to get wickets and were apologetic about getting wickets. Today's youngsters like Virat Kohli or anyone else, they are just so boisterous. And if you look at Indians abroad, they were shy about their culture. They won't eat their aloo paratha in public. Here now, Indians work for Google, they work for Microsoft, they live in Silicon Valley, and they eat their puri chana, and they wear their chudidar and Indian clothes. And so it's changed a lot. So India has become more accepted across the world. People know India more. Earlier, the Western world used to confuse India and Pakistan. They used to confuse India with a lot of other countries. Now India is known for IT, for sports, for various other things, and I think we can be proud in what we have achieved as a country, but there is a long way to go. Some problems have risen which weren't there 25 years ago. Many of those problems have been eliminated, and especially the caste system, traditional things which were stifling, the position of women in society, how they have got their freedom now, and you see so many girls and women at the forefront as decision makers, as sports persons, confident as pilots, as army officers, various things.
Equal opportunity for the gender.
Absolutely, that has come in now. And the society's mindset has also become more progressive that way. Although there are pockets of India, and to sum up this answer, India still lives in many centuries at the same time. So you look at some parts of India and they're thinking it's still in the 17th century. And we are in 2017. There are youngsters in Delhi, Bombay or Chandigarh who are already in the 22nd century in their thinking and mindset. So we are in many centuries at the same time.
It's a contrast and it's a mix of different mindsets.
Absolutely.
One has to deal with it.
Yes.
So how tough was to leave the IAS, and then did you ever thought after putting your papers and gracefully, and as an accomplished person leaving the government, and how tough was it? Did you think twice? Okay, why did I leave? Did your friends, especially your wife, what was their support? How they made your belief strong that you're moving on to a new journey?
If I'd started out this new career 20 years ago, I was not ready. Now I've picked up a lot of experience from the government life, from other parts of my life, and now I know what to say. And I speak on subjects very diverse, like emotional intelligence to calmness to balance. So I feel that I did the right thing at the right time. At the age of 25 is when I joined the service. At the age of 50 is when I've exited. So I think it's all very round figured and good.
Pretty young.
I'm happy to hear that. But the thing is that my wife and I had long discussions. Obviously, when you're leaving the IAS, you should have long discussions.
Right.
And ultimately, she said that you should be comfortable.
Right.
And I feel very comfortable. I have not looked back. It's recent, but my friends and others well-wishers who tried to convince me initially not to leave, to dissuade me, they were right in doing so because they're my well-wishers. And even when I announced it on the social media, initially the reaction was of half of shock. And everyone says it's a very bold decision, which probably means it's a crazy decision, but I think I took the right decision.
And you're happy about it.
And I'm very happy about it. And let me tell you that since I've left, I am flowering.
Right.
And there are so many things which... As a person, as a speaker, as a writer, as a thinker, there's some thought leadership which is coming through. There's a think tank, so many things were waiting.
You can contribute to the society as a whole and then yet prosper yourself internally.
Absolutely. So that was an important phase of 25 years. I was right to stay in the government for those years. I think I did my bit. But now is the time to do something else. So everything has a timeline, and I believe in that, and I'm very confident of my life ahead.
What were the obvious fears? I'm sticking to that question. What were the obvious fears? So one of the obvious fears could be, there's a steady income, there's a steady routine, there is social prosperity, the connects and all. What were your obvious fears? Yeah,
these are the obvious fears, and there was nothing more than that. There was nothing extra. I somehow never was wedded to the chair.
Right.
So as a friend that I have many friends outside the government.
Right.
In fact, I have more friends outside the government than I had in the government. So I had great friendships in the service also, and very humble people who I really admire. So I still retain those friendships. But I had a life outside my career which was very active, very social. And now I realize that those fears which were there, they weren't really fears. They were just boxes to be ticked. You know, that this revenue has to be coming later. Some advisory roles, some speaking roles which will give revenue, and they are giving revenue and I'm comfortable.
So how important is confidence for a youth? Because largely the society, especially the youth, you know, I would say that at the time of their teens and when they have to pick up a career, are plagued with insecurities. So what do you think? How important is confidence for them?
Absolutely, because when I speak to them, I realize that this is exactly right. In 2017, there is more pressure than ever on the youth. They are told that it is either this or you're finished, which is wrong. Life is not about marks, money.
What is it about?
It is about happiness. It is about inner peace. It is about enjoying the moment. It is about the journey. And these people, they think that if I don't get into IIT or IIM, I'm finished. And if then the second plan B is not as good as it should have been. But life is about a long journey. And ultimately, at the end of life, you should have enjoyed those moments. You should have given and received love from your family, your friends. And ultimately, you should have been inspired by what you did. So here, if you got 99% marks in class 12, but later in life you didn't really enjoy it, what's the point? And the richest man in the world is not the most happiest.
Right.
You know that.
Oh, and we have stories.
So we have stories. The Golgappa man I wrote about is a poor man on the road in Chandigarh, and I've seen him smile broadly than anyone else. Right. So there's no correlation. So I tell these youngsters that this stress is not good for you.
Stress is not good for them. So what are the special abilities they are missing out, which they have in them?
Yeah, so they are not able to bring out that positivity. They are not able to bring out that talent, which I try to instill, that tell them that you have what it takes. Sometimes the youth is compared with others. Even the parents do that. So one boy asked me at a session, he said, so my parents keep comparing me with others. I said, your parents want the best for you. Their methods may be wrong if they're over comparing. You have to understand that they love you, and you should do your best to live up to their expectations, but don't be under pressure because of this. You being compared to someone, you may be better than that person at certain things. He may be better than you in certain other things. So it's fine to be compared from time to time. Don't yield to that pressure. That's important.
That's important.
Yeah.
So are you moving with a goal?
Yeah, I have a goal.
What is it?
And that goal, if you look at the larger aspects of life, is in India, we believe it is self-realization. And if you look at the smaller aspect of that, it is still self-actualization. So which basically means that you find your higher self. And that higher self is not something that comes only from praying and meditating. It is meditation plus activity. And activity is very important in that. So I'm moving towards spreading happiness, spreading positivity, spreading cheerfulness, and making people believe that they can be all-rounders, they can be achievers. And I'm also bringing in a bit of spirituality. So I think that's the goal I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'll take a pause and look at this beautiful book. We'll show it to our audience as well. So, one of the greatest masters who walked this earth, I personally admire him as well, and how important has been his contribution, not being in body while you are here, so how has he inspired you as a guru? Would you like to talk about your spiritual side?
I would. So, my wife Nina read this book, Autobiography of a Yogi, and it is such a great book. It has been translated into 48 languages. It's a world life changer. And Paramahansa Yoganand spent about 30 years in the US and many years in India teaching meditation and yoga. So we follow his legacy. And when she read that book, she started meditating through the techniques. And then gradually, I also used to think, I'll go for a while, sit with her. Then I got into it. Now I meditate regularly, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. I read this book almost every day, part of it. And I read his other books. So I find that my life has changed for the better. It was not bad, it's become much better. And I'm elevated, my thinking is always gung-ho, positive, cheerful. Setbacks don't trouble me that much. And meditation gives you that higher aspect of life, which is very important. All of us need.
Has it exalted you in mind and as a person?
I think it's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress.
So human beings are, after all, human beings, and we have our lows and ups and downs, but they have reduced. I think I'm improving. So the thing is to keep improving. Perfection is a difficult state to attain. It's far away. but you are walking in the right direction and making some progress. That's how these things are important.
Osho once said, you're already that what you're chasing. Would you like to comment on that?
Absolutely. So basically what Osho meant was that you have to improve your knowing of the truth. The truth is there. So Paramahansa Yogananda said the same thing. He said that everything can wait, but your search for God cannot wait.
Right.
And that search for God is basically a search for something which already exists. So the scriptures say that you are made in the image of God and you are a part of God. But we don't know it. Our mind is cluttered, we have worldly experiences. We improve our knowing and the truth is before us.
And how important is self-realization for a child, in his teens especially?
Absolutely. It's important for the younger the better. I started at the age of, let's say, 40. If I had started at 20, I would have been even better than I have lived. In fact, children today are part of this movement and many other spiritual movements where they have children's satsangs, children's schools. They don't have to miss their school or miss their growing up activities or their fun, but just need to think a little bit about God and meditation as they grow up. Teenagers would do much better. Grown-ups who think that they are only 30, they will wait till they retire. They are making a mistake. Spend a little time with God, meditation, and you'll do better.
How important is ethics for the youth? How important are ethics for the youth?
Extremely important. As part of my emotional intelligence talks, I have major slides on this, ethics and values. And you mentioned inspiring the youth. One of the major things you can tell them is that who are they actually answerable to? Ultimately, they're answerable to themselves and God. So, I have something called the 6 a.m. red light test. Would you stop at the red light at 6 in the morning? I asked them. So half of them raised their hands, sir, we would. Half of them said, no, we won't.
We'll just cross the line.
We'll cross the line. Those who say that they won't, they are being honest now. But they're not being honest at 6 a.m. when they cross the red light.
That's right.
So the thing is that you don't do something wrong when no one is watching. That is something which is more important. When your teacher is watching, when your parents are watching, obviously you won't do anything wrong. But when you're alone with yourself, how are you at that time? So that honesty, that integrity, those values, as you said, are so important in a country like India, which does not have a good reputation in public life. It is very important that the younger generation comes up. They come as honest people, they come as sincere people, and they clean up this image of India.
To make a better change, who will play a key role? Which are the factors?
Parents,
right?
Teachers, the children themselves, because they're very smart. If they can pick up so much technology at a young age, they can even pick up this fact that the truth is to be followed or not to be followed. So they can take their decisions. So the youth has to be receptive to ideas like this, which are based on the truth, and parents have to be role models. So in my speeches, I get invited to schools for speeches. So I tell them that parents, please don't tell your children what to do, be what you want them to be. You can't tell them not to cross a red light and then cross a red light yourself.
Yeah.
So that is a big example of...
Who do you think plays a greater role, parents or teachers?
Parents.
Parents?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they're there from the beginning, they are with them all the time, they are more loving, they are more inspiring, and teachers, number 2, very closely following the parents.
Why is the youth of today confused when picking up a career?
Because there are many options and there are few opportunities within those options. It's a very competitive world. So the old saying that, the lions and the gazelles both have to be running when they get up in the morning to survive. So whether you're a gazelle or a lion, it's such a competitive world, you better be running. Now running mindlessly is what they do. They're confused because they don't realize that they need to pause, reflect, choose what they love. If they cannot get what they love, then choose what you love second most. I wanted to be an Indian cricketer. Everyone wants to be an Indian cricketer, can't be. Second, you become a public servant, you become a public speaker. I love that. So I'm happy with that. So choose what you love. If you can't get that second best or third best, there's always a plan B, C. I tell them there are plan Z. So you have 26 alphabets in the alphabet. You go ahead and choose any of them and you'll succeed.
Are you very much bullish about technology as an enabler? You like technology?
Absolutely I am. I've been talking, I've been writing on it. And technology as an enabler is what it should remain. Unfortunately, we're allowed to become a master at times. And the smartphone is our boss. So we need to outsmart the smartphone. We need to be savvy. We need to be sharp. We need to be smart and use technology to our benefit. And humankind will do well. And kids and youngsters who are too much into technology need to distance themselves a bit and need to have a conversation like we are having.
Right.
So it's difficult for no mobiles. So it is difficult for people these days to talk to each other.
Yeah.
But they're so much into the gadgets. So those social and conversation skills need to be retained while we use technology to move forward.
So this question is not planned, but I want to ask you. I saw you, I came to meet you a couple of times while you were DC Panchkula, Deputy Commissioner Panchkula.
Yeah.
And it was like a darbar, the people sitting, hundreds of them, and then, you're attending your friends like me also. And how do you manage this agility and, still be positive and not being tired at the end of the day? This is something which I saw.
Yeah,
you bring that energy?
So thank you. That is something which I think it's God gifted, because I really found that at the end of the day I was still as energetic as I was in the morning. I used to get this feedback from others. I think it comes from happiness in what you're doing, because if you're fatigued in your mind that whatever I'm drudging through the day, people come to meet you because you are receptive. So if public service dealing is positive, cheerful, half the battle is won. And that goodwill is what I generated. Many other officers also do the same, but many others don't. Right. So it's good to be positive and cheerful.
Even if you inspired a few, you made a difference.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you, while we wind up this conversation, some very quick questions.
Sure.
Yeah. So, which actor, you have been much inspired by?
Amitabh Bachchan. So I know it's a cliche.
Why?
First of all, he's tall, handsome, booming voice, personality, great actor. I just love him on KBC. Even though I was a great fan already, nowadays he's even doing better than he's ever done before. I write a column called Random Forays. I'm going to write about him soon. On his 75th birthday, he looks like a youngster. Not a youngster, but much younger than he does. And I think he's inspired me with his human values more than his...
Yesterday, the world celebrated his birthday.
Absolutely.
So, and the actress?
The actors are many. So I've had these fan followings. I used to be a fan of many from time to time. So I've reached a stage where I think it doesn't affect me that much now.
And any Hollywood actor?
Hollywood actors, I was inspired by Clint Eastwood. I really love the good, the bad and the ugly, the film, and his cool demeanor. I really liked him.
Would you see Clint Eastwood as Amitabh Bachchan of Hollywood or Pierce Brosnan?
Oh, Pierce Brosnan I also love. He was just a great human being. There was a TV show which used to come called Remington Steele, which he started off with, then he became Bond. And Bond movies are just amazing too.
There's a glamour side to your personality.
Yeah, I follow glamour.
You think you're...
No, I don't think I'm a Bond. I don't think so. I think I'm Vivek Atray, but I'm an admirer of people who are confident and glamorous. Yes.
And you are an author. Who's your favorite author?
P.G. Woodhouse. P.G. Woodhouse is someone who makes magic with words. So I write humor also. I write, of course, on society also. So the magic with words which he used to make, I try myself. And the best compliment that I have got is that you write very well, and there are shades of Woodhouse sometimes in your writing.
We saw that in Move On Bunny.
Yeah, thank you.
What are the two pressing issues in the society, in the Indian context?
I think one is that our youth needs to be given the freedom to flower. We have systemic problems. So whenever they encounter the system, they hit a roadblock. So if we just let them flower, our country will bloom. The other is still that negativity in the system itself, where the government and even the corporates to some extent need to clean up their act. And we need to have more transparency using technology. I think in the next 25 years to maybe even less, the younger generation which has more empathy. I have two daughters, Spreha and Kavya, they have so much empathy for society. I think this generation I have great hope from them.
So do you believe that life is a game or it is a play?
It's a play. It's a play with the director being God. We are all actors. We have to play our roles well.
No, I think you acted very well, the role he gave you, and it is a pure pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much,
Sumeer.
Sumeer.
Go on and on.
It's an ongoing role.
Yeah, it is an ongoing role, and look forward to chat with you again, maybe in 2018. It is an honor.
Anytime.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hello, students of Chitkara University. I'm very happy to be talking to you. I think I need to tell you 3 or 4 things which I, as a motivational speaker, am trying to spread throughout the young society of India. One of the things is positive thinking. There are times when stress gets to us, problems get to us, they start to defeat us. If we retain our positivity and inner strength, we will succeed. The second thing is calmness. We often get restless, we are agitated, we are disturbed. Calmness gives us the right decision-making powers. We take the right decisions and we are not troubled by what we are doing. The third thing I'd like to tell you is emotional intelligence. So when you are in a situation, in a difficult situation which life will present to you, try and retain your balance, try and think that you are the best, try and think that you will get over all these problems, and that emotional intelligence will see you through and you'll do very well in life. My best wishes always: do very well.